What's going on, guys? Nick Wood here. I am going to give you today the framework for you to be able to develop your own prospecting script. Now, I have my own, okay, and this is the one, by the way, this one right here I've been using for 2.5 years. I started with something and I built on it, and then I took it apart and then I put it back together and I tested it and I refined it and I did it again and again, and I've had hundreds of students at this point have success with the script. It works. And I'm not just going to give you that script because that's for my paid students. However, what I am going to do is I'm going to give you the framework so you can develop your own prospecting script. Okay? So let me share the 4 steps to a perfect prospecting script, the 4 framework, the 4 things that need to be included. Okay? Number 1 is when you call, and again, I'm talking about the original call. When you call, you need to let them know who you are. And it doesn't, by the way, side note, this does not need to be in this order. But at some point during this call, they need to know who you are. They need to know why the heck you're calling, aka what you're doing. And then they need to know the deal, which is like a 2-step process, which is, hey, Mr. Business Owner, this is what's in it for you, or Mrs. Business Owner, this is what's in it for you, and this is what's in it for me, which I would argue is probably more important than what's in it for them. If you call and say, hey, I'm going to give you a couple free leads, the first thing they're going to think is, what's the catch? Sounds sketchy, sounds scammy, there's nothing free in life. And I always tell them that. I say, hey, I'm going to give you these for no charge, these couple of leads for free. But look, make no mistake, I'm not running a nonprofit here. I do want to talk to you in exchange in a couple days. Are you cool with that? Because if you're not, tell me now, and I don't want to waste your time. That comes across so much more real, and it resonates so much more with people than, hey, I'm just going to give you a couple free leads, and then whatever, right? Then all of a sudden you bring it up, and you don't bring it up originally, and it just seems, it seems whatever. Don't do that, okay? Who you are, what you're doing, what's in it for them, what's in it for you, and then you got to transition. So at the end of that pitch, whatever order you decide to do it in, don't just sit there and leave the door open, because when I used to sell door to door, we had the same framework. And if we'd go through the pitch, then we just stop, people would be like, oh, this sounds good. Can you come back later? And they would never answer the door, right? So what we had to do is we'd get to the end and go, hey, let me step in real quick, and let me break this down for you in 2 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever. And we'd start wiping our feet. Like I'd literally stand at the door and I would start going like this, wiping my feet at the door. Okay. Because I was transitioning into the house. And so when you get done with your pitch, with your prospecting pitch, don't just stop and wait for them to say, okay, that sounds good. But you're going to get to the end and say, okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get Sandra that I told you about that needs her tree removed. I'm going to grab her on the line, save my number, and I'm going to put this into a live call. And I'm going to get you 1 or 2, maybe even 3 of these. And then we're going to talk. Are you good with that? Cool. Save my, you're going to direct this thing. Do not get to the end of it and say, hey, I'm going to give you a couple leads and then in exchange for a phone call. Does that sound good? And then just pause. Okay. Once they say, yeah, it sounds good, transition. Cool. Here's what's going to happen next. Transition. And a lot of times people have a perfect pitch and the transition sucks and they lose deals. Okay. So you got to work on your transitions. But again, who you are, what you're doing, what's in it for them, what's in it for you, transition. And one last tip, if you call and the first thing you say is, hey, Mr. Business Owner, hey, Mrs. Business Owner, this is Nick with Evergreen. Don't do that. Do not do that. Please do not do that. It sounds so salesy. Okay. Also, just so you know, I have been testing a lot of different things, and what I've found to be the best is mixing up the order. So I actually don't tell people who I am until we've gotten through what I'm doing, why I'm calling. And then I tell them what I'm doing or who I am, and they usually ask. So follow those 4 steps for a perfect framework for your prospecting script. Go get them on the hook, give them a couple free leads, close the deal, and let's build these businesses.